Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video we're going to be talking about blue tongue skinks and their diet. So in my video today I'm going to be showing you guys how I prepare my skinks food, what I feed her, and then we will talk a little bit about their diet, what they need, what some good foods are, what some bad foods are, and everything like that, you know, diet stuff. I do want to make it very clear that this video is solely going to be based on my opinion. This is all just what I feed my blue tongue skink and what I personally think is best for them. I do want to make it very clear that just because this is what I do, it does not mean that this is what you have to do. It does not mean that this is the only way to do things. Some people might totally agree with my diet, think it's good. Some people might disagree with my diet. Whatever you think, I just want to make it very clear that this is just my opinion based on the research that I have done. If you have done research that makes you think otherwise, then that is totally okay. I think as long as you are doing your research, deciding what you think is best, and making sure your animal is healthy, that is what matters. So just because I do this does not mean that you have to do this, or just because I do this does not make it right or wrong. Just because you do something different, that doesn't mean it's bad. Just know that there's so many different ways to do things out there. There's so many different opinions when it comes to animal care. A lot of it is not just one fits all. So just because this works for me and my skink, maybe something else works better for you, and that's totally okay. Just want to make that clear. I do not think that my diet is the only way to feed a skink. I do not think that I am the best or anything like that. Just want to make that very clear. So now that that is all out of the way, we are going to start this video off by showing you how I prepare my skink's food. Like, I'll show you what I feed her, how much I feed her, how I mix it up, and everything like that. And then we will go and feed her, and then afterwards I will talk a little bit more about the diet in detail. So right here we have my skink's food bowl. It's empty, nothing exciting. First thing I'm going to add is the protein part of her diet. So this here is actually a raw dog food. This is a raw frozen food, so it comes frozen and then you thaw it out basically. And that's what it is. That's about all I can say about that one. So now what I'm doing is just adding some vegetables. Skinks are omnivores, so they do need to eat both proteins such as meats and insects, as well as some vegetables. So I'll talk about that more in detail later though, but here I am just adding the vegetables. So now I'm actually just going to like mix the vegetables up with the meats. My skink and most skinks tend to prefer the proteins over vegetables, so I find by mixing them up you kind of get the flavor of the meat on the vegetables, which kind of encourages the skink to eat the vegetables more, if that makes any sense. I think it makes sense. Now I'm going to add some banana. My skink and a lot of other skinks really like banana, so I like to add a little bit in there. And I'm also going to give her a raspberry. I am going to break it up into a few smaller pieces just because. So once again, I'm just going to kind of mix this all up. And lastly, I'm going to add some more protein by adding some insects. So I actually have a lot of insects here. Here I have butterworms, I have waxworms, I have some canned crickets. So these are dead, they're not alive. Some superworms, and I have some mealworms in this thing. This is my mealworm container. And I have some earthworms in here. And now the last thing I do when it comes to her diet is, oh my gosh, these worms are escaping, add some vitamin powder. and I add some calcium powder. So I typically alternate back and forth between with D3 and without D3. So today I'm using with D3, but then like next time, for example, I'll use without D3. And now that is it. This is her lovely meal. So now we will go and feed her. Okay, so I hope that you guys really enjoyed seeing that. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing Bella eat. If that's enjoyable, I don't know, but hope you liked it. So now that we've done all of that, let's go ahead and I just moved my hair. Now that we've done all that, let's go ahead and talk about their diet a bit. Now, when it comes to blue tongue skinks, a lot of people feed them some sort of dog food. I am one of those people. I feed my skink dog food basically in every single meal. Now, some people are not a big fan of dog food when it comes to blue tongue skinks, usually for reasons such as it tends to have a lot of fillers in it, a lot of preservatives, a lot of things that they don't really need and aren't really the best for them. So now, as someone who feeds their skink dog food, I obviously do think it's okay. So I'm going to talk about my opinion on the matter, like why I think it's okay. But I do want to quickly say, again, remember, this is just my opinion. If you are one of those people who doesn't think blue tongue skinks should eat dog food, you don't have to feed your skink dog food. I am totally okay with that. I'm just talking about what I think, so just remember that. So while it is true that a lot of dog foods out there aren't really great, they have a lot of fillers, a lot of preservatives, a lot of added things that they don't really need, I don't think that's a reason to not feed your skink dog food, because there are a lot of good dog foods out there. You can get raw food, you can get grain-free, you can just look at the ingredients. Not every single dog food out there has a bunch of preservatives or a bunch of fillers or a bunch of grains and stuff that they don't like or that they don't need. For example, this food here is what I just fed my skink. It is a completely raw food. So basically what this means, raw, it means that all of the ingredients are totally natural. There's no added preservatives or fillers or any sort of grains or anything like that. Now there are other options that you can feed your skink if you don't want to go for raw. There is stuff like this. So this is just dog food in a container. This stuff does tend to have a lot more additives and preservatives and stuff in it. Some people think that's fine. I really don't think it's a problem, but I do prefer to feed my skink raw to have it as natural as possible. If you are feeding your blue tongue skink dog food, one thing to keep in mind is just to make sure you're buying grain-free. Skinks do not need any sorts of grain, corn, anything like that in their diet. So just no matter what you get, make sure it's grain-free. So even if you are getting them something like this, you want to make sure that it is grain-free, grain-free, grain-free. If you do not want to feed your skink dog food and you would rather like make homemade meals, that's okay, but it actually can be a lot of work to do that because you cannot just feed your skink like meat. You can't just feed it ground turkey or like ground beef. You need to be feeding it organs and bones as well. Skinks actually need to be eating the bones of the animal. They need to be eating the organs, which in my opinion is why dog food is probably the best for them, because dog food already contains the organs. It contains beef liver, beef kidney, spleen. It contains ground beef bone. Like, it contains all of that stuff already, so you don't have to worry about somehow preparing bones for them. If you can do that, totally fine, go for it, but just know if you are like making your own food or something, you cannot just feed them an egg, or you cannot just feed them ground turkey or chicken. They need to have multiple organs, they need to have secretion organs, they need to have bones, so it's really important you're giving them all of that. So that's all I'm going to talk about dog food now, so let's talk a little bit more about their actual diet. So in the wild, blue-tongued skinks are omnivores and they are scavengers. So an omnivore means they eat both animal and plant matter, so they will eat meats, insects, as well as plants, you know, vegetables, fruits, stuff like that. And they are scavengers, meaning they don't actively hunt out food. They typically just scavenge around and see what they can find. Blue-tongued skinks will often eat roadkill. They will eat any kind of edible plant matter they come across. They are scavengers in the wild. They literally eat like dead, decaying animals. As appetizing as that sounds, that's what they eat. They come across a nest with eggs in it, they will eat the eggs. If they come across some insects, they will eat the insects, plants, whatever. They basically eat anything they can. For that reason, I think it's really important to give them a big variety in their diet. I think it's important to give them a variety of meats. So this was one I showed you earlier, the food I fed, and this is the beef recipe, but I also do have the chicken recipe. So personally, I think variety is good because in the wild they would have a lot of variety. Typically when it comes to your skink, you want to be feeding them about 50% vegetable matter, so this will consist of your leafy greens and other vegetables. I know a lot of them like squash, they can eat carrots. So when it comes to blue-tongued skinks diets, they should have about 50% vegetables. So this can consist of things such as your leafy greens, your carrots, squash, all of that stuff, you know, vegetables. And then they should have about 40% protein, which will consist of the different meats you can offer them, insects, and eggs. A lot of people love to feed theirs eggs. I do feed mine eggs, but not with every single meal. So yeah, meats, eggs, insects, those are all good sources of protein. And then about 10% fruit. So they do really enjoy fruit, but it is important that you don't give them too much. Fruit is really high in sugar. Too much of fruit isn't good for blue-tongued skinks, so you want to keep fruit to a minimal, which is why I only gave mine a few little pieces of banana and one raspberry. When it comes to feeding your skink vegetables, I'm not going to list off every single vegetable that you can feed them because there is a lot. They do eat a lot of different vegetables. But just make sure you are avoiding things such as iceberg lettuce. Iceberg lettuce has no nutritional value really, so there's really no point in feeding it. It's practically all water. Things such as dark leafy greens are really good for them, like dandelion greens, collard greens, kale, but you don't want to feed too much kale. Spinach can be okay in small amounts, but you don't want to feed too much spinach. It's really best to kind of not feed it at all or very minimally. Things like red leaf lettuce are good, green leaf lettuce is good for them. A lot of them enjoy squash, they can eat carrots, they can eat a big variety of things, so I'm not going to go on. But yeah, they eat a lot of different vegetables. When it comes to protein, again, you can feed them a lot of different kinds of things. Typically avoid seafood as it is really high in sodium and not really the best for them. I would stick to things such as beef, chicken, turkey, pork, rabbit, quail, like things like that. Not really seafood, isn't great for them, you know, more other meats, land animal meats. Insects, they can pretty well eat every single feeder insect out there. Insects, a lot of them really enjoy them too. And as I said, eggs are really good for them. They love eggs. They will eat raw eggs, cooked eggs. And then when it comes to fruit, you can feed them a variety of fruits. They tend to really like berries and bananas. Those are the ones I've found. They tend to like raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, bananas. Those tend to be Bella's favorite. You can feed them more fruits as well. You can also feed them other fruits. Again, I'm not going to name off every single fruit because there's just so many, but I would avoid citrus fruits. Aren't great for them. Things like lemons, oranges, pineapples. I would stay away from those and stick to more, I don't know, berries. Berries tend to be their favorites. So vegetables should make up about 50% of your skink's diet. Protein should make up about 40%, and fruits should make up about 10%. Okay, well, I think that is all I'm going to do for my video today. I just wanted to make a quick little video showing you guys what I feed my skink, how I prepare it, and then talk a little bit on their diet. Hopefully, if any of you guys have a skink, looking to get one, hopefully this was somewhat helpful to you. Once again, this was my opinion and my opinion only. It is totally okay if you have done research and you think something else. Perfectly fine. Do what works for you. As long as your animal's healthy, that's what matters. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, and check out all of my social media. Everything is just EmmaSamp99, but it will be in the description below, so be sure to check that out. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time.